Riots and lootings backfire as the Chicago mayor pleads with Walmart and other major retailers to not abandon the city. Hello everyone, this is Mr. Obvious, and today on the Epoch Times. Delicious, delicious irony. A lot of liberal, left-wing, Democrat-run cities are burning across America as people protest the death of George Floyd. But it's not just protests. Unlike the mainstream media would tell you, it's not peaceful because most of these protests end in violence. There's people who've been looting, there's people who have been rioting, burning down local businesses, and burning down their own communities. It's been absolutely insane. More than 10 people have died in these riots and in these protests. It's been utter mayhem. Here you can see in the headline, Chicago mayor pleads with Walmart and other retailers to not abandon the city after unrest. Now, before we look into the story, because I have a few things to show you here, there's a few associated stories that really expose just how bad it is getting. Because what do you think happens when you burn down your own community and burn down your own stores? There's no more stores, there's no more jobs, there's no more community. A quick word from this week's sponsor.
Zuck the cuck drinks water like a duck, but he also drinks your data. So tell him and Google to shove your data up their schwing-schwangs by downloading the Brave browser. It's free, blocks online advertising, and protects your privacy and data from evil tech companies. You only see ads if you want to see them, and you get cryptocurrency for your attention. Don't let Zuck use you to make a buck. Download Brave by clicking on the link down below.
And we're back, so let's just jump right in. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot said that she hopes that Walmart and other retailers won't abandon Chicago after nights of looting and vandalism during protests triggered by the death of George Floyd. Lightfoot told reporters that she was on a conference call with all major retailers, including Walmart, which had their stores looted or damaged by unrest in Chicago, pleading with them to not abandon the city. You get what you frickin' deserve! Ah, yes, delicious irony. Now, there's something I really have to make clear. The fact of the matter is, a lot of these riots and a lot of this looting is happening in cities and in places run by Democrats. They are blue cities, they are blue counties, they are blue states. And these are the hardest hit places. They're burning down and looting these businesses. So what's going to happen in the long run? These businesses are either going to go under, they're not going to come back, those jobs will be lost, and major retailers are going to just say, you know what, there's nothing for us here, it's not worth it. They looted and destroyed our store and caused us massive damage. We're just going to leave. We'll take our business elsewhere, to states and counties where people do not destroy. And most of them are probably not Democrat. Or at least if they are, at least not where the riots and lootings have happened. They're going to leave, they're going to go, and then these communities are screwed. You reap what you sow. But the worst part is how these Democrats have responded. For example, in New York and California, thousands of criminals were released. So here you can see on the front page magazine, New York and California freed thousands of criminals and the riots began. Free the criminals, organize the riots, watch the cities burn, repeat. So because of the current pandemic, which these protesters, these rioters, and these looters are spreading, they're literally spreading COVID-19 and coronavirus because they're gathering in mass numbers, touching each other, being unsanitary, and of course, this will cause a massive spread of COVID-19. So why were the prisoners released? The prisoners were released, and this most often happened in, blue states and areas like New York and California. They were released because the politicians, the Democrats in charge, had concerns that if they left people in prisons, COVID-19 would spread in the prisons. So what was their big-brained 1,000 IQ solution? It was to release all the prisoners out into the streets. Here on the Bring Me the News, counselors say, we're going to dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department. There are growing calls within city leadership to disband the current police force. I'm so high IQ, I could fly into space. So, in what has to be the biggest of big brain moves, Democrat politicians are talking about dismantling the police. So let me get this straight. Democrats are releasing prisoners from prison, violent people, people who steal, people who loot, people who burn things, and they want to get rid of the police. Well, gee, I wonder what's going to happen. Lawlessness, chaos, burning in the streets.
This plague, the rioting is intensifying to the point where we may not be able to contain it.
Why contain it? Let it spill over to the schools and churches. Let the bodies pile up in the streets. In the end, they'll beg us to save them.
But let's get back to the story. I think in the case of Walmart, what they were focused on was assessing the damage they are doing in an effort to donate fresh produce to the extent of what's left so it doesn't perish, and other perishables, and they are taking their time as I would expect, she said. The article says talking. I assume they mean taking. So some Walmart officials said they would rebuild the stores that were damaged by looters, but later said that only some stores would be reopened. And there it is. Say bye-bye. Oh yeah. Some of these stores are never going to reopen, because if you're a business owner, why the heck would you want to have a business in one of these cities? A lot of these places are blue. And yes, I'm going to keep saying that because it's true. A lot of the cities that are burning are run by Democrats. Isn't it weird? Isn't it weird how leftists are always talking about racism and bigotry and all this other stuff? But where are they saying the problem is? In liberal leftist cities. How can that be? I don't see anyone complaining about conservative cities and conservative states. Isn't it crazy? It's almost like all of these problems and all of this nonsense is entirely coming from the political left. They're burning things and they're causing racial divides. They're the ones doing all this. And I have to wonder if it's all worth it, because I don't think it is. This destruction, the deaths that we've had because of these protests, none of it has been worth it. None of it. So here's a quote. My hope is that they will come back, Lightfoot said, but I got a resounding, Mayor, this is our city, this is our home, from a lot of other retailers, and I would hope that Walmart would follow suit. I personally hope that Walmart leaves. And I also hope that the police go on strike. I actually had this idea, hashtag police strike, where imagine if a police force in one of these Democrat cities were to go on strike for 1 month. 1 month without police. Oh, I'm sure that these social justice warriors and Antifa members and Black Lives Matter, I'm sure they would all celebrate. All of these woke liberal soy boys would be like, yay, we did it, we beat the police. No more police. And then what would happen? In 1 month, the entire city would be burned to the ground. It would be lawlessness and chaos in the streets. And after that 1 month, they would beg the police to save them. Because that's the reality of life without police. Nobody will help you. People will steal. Things will be set on fire. It will be total chaos and anarchy. Now, a certain beanie-wearing commentator says that Antifa aren't anarchists because anarchy means without authority. But, hello, let's use our brain cells, okay? Let's use them. Violence, destruction, and despair is the result of anarchy, the result of no authority. Because without authority, there's no one to enforce the rules. So yes, Antifa are anarchists, and anarchy is bad. Because without authority, nobody follows the rules. You would think it would be common sense. So here's a picture of the local Walmart. You know, Walmart's like a staple of the working man in America. Low everyday prices, right? And look at it. Reduced to utter rubble. Look at all that stuff on the floor. They completely trashed the place. I certainly wouldn't want to have a business in this community. It's honestly disgusting that anyone could reduce their own community to this. All for what? A cheap meal? What are you going to do when the store leaves and there's no more meals? You're going to starve. So here's what gets me. They know how valuable these businesses are to their communities, yet they still allow the protests. They still allow the rioters. They let it get out of control. It's just pure ineptitude. And a lot of these places aren't run by Republicans, they're run by Democrats. And you see this ineptitude among Democratic leadership time and time again across America. A local official, Howard Brookins Jr., said that he's concerned that a Walmart on 83rd Street and Stewart Avenue won't reopen due to the damages incurred during looting. Now he goes on to say, and I quote, "It is a much-needed resource and invaluable store for our community." He said, he noted that Walmart managers there already complained about losing money at the location. They're done. It's over. It's never coming back. If this store was already losing money, there's literally no reason to have the store. It doesn't make sense. It's going to go away. I hope it goes away. That's what they deserve. They made their bed, and now it's time for them to lay in it. So Brookins told the Chicago Sun-Times earlier this week that during riots and looting, 95% of stores that sell merchandise, in his word, were hit. Quote, I get the protest, I get the anger. I don't get the looting and tearing up your own community. I don't condone it, I don't think it's right, he said. Yeah, well, you and the rest of America, apparently, except for the people doing this. So, it's clear that these protests and these riots and these lootings are not about George Floyd. They're not about injustice. They're a bunch of opportunistic, woke, virtue-signaling snowflakes who want to feel like heroes or who want to get revenge on the system, on the man. So let's loot and destroy these communities? How does that make any sense? It doesn't. Idiots. It's just pure stupidity. So Derek Chauvin, 44, was fired from the Minneapolis police force and charged with second-degree murder. So people have been crying about justice, but justice already happened. It's already happening. Now, I just want to make the point that George Floyd himself was not a law-abiding citizen. He was a criminal. He has a criminal record. He was a felon. He mugged a pregnant woman for crying out loud, pointed a gun at her pregnant belly. He was also a drug user. He got around, okay? He had like four different substances in his system. Also, he was COVID-19 positive. Oh my God, like this story it's such a shitstorm. It really is. Of course, the media, they just fan the flames. They fan the flames. And it's sad and it's disgusting. So we're going to take a look at some of the replies. Erza Tra says, I did nothing to protect your assets and hard work. Please come back for more. And those retailers saying, this is our city, sound like domestic violence victims refusing to leave their abusive spouses. General MacArthur had good advice, says, sounds like Stockholm Syndrome. Evelina Montgomery says, is this the same mayor who broke the shelter in place to get a haircut? Is this the same mayor that sent police officers to houses of worship because they broke shelter in place? Respect begets respect. Sorry, Mayor, your behavior is hypocritical. Poor leadership. And B. Bray says it best. Why shouldn't they abandon Chicago? The mayor and the people in charge did nothing to protect them. And you know what? We're going to leave it off with the obvious, my friends. Kathy Sutari says, you let your city burn. Live with it. It goes without saying that leftist leadership in the city has been a complete and utter failure. But that's merely the obvious. Well, that's all for now, folks. What do you think about this story? Let me know down below in the comments section. I do read those comments. Don't believe I don't. Now, the first thing that I ask is that you simply share this video. Share this video because that's the only marketing that channels like mine ever get. So if you want to spread those red pills, consider sharing this video. Now, if you want to support the work I do, you can join me on Patreon or Subscribestar. Joining will give you access to a private Discord server as a joining bonus. And if you want to donate, there's DonorBox, there's Bitcoin, and other methods down below in the description. All that's there. Anyhow, thanks for watching. This has been Mr. Obvious. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you all next time.